Pinky goes up. Yeah. Wallstreet Bets.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Oh, God, this is way too hot. I'm gonna change, sorry guys. Oh, that's better. So dark. Ah. Wow, what a week this has been in US finance. This whole Gamestop fiasco has completely broken the stock market, and it's all thanks to this subreddit group called Wallstreet Bets. So let's quickly go over what's happened recently, and because this story is evolving so quickly, I'm pretty much recording and editing this all in one day, so please bear with me if I say anything that's already out of date. Now, to understand what's happened, we have to understand what a market short means. A short is basically when you borrow a stock from a broker and then you go and immediately sell it at the market price of say $10 a share. So now you have $10 but also owe the broker a stock. Now if let's say the current market price falls down to say $7 a stock, you can go and buy that stock immediately back and give it back to the broker while pocketing that $3 for yourself. So that means that when you short something, you're hoping that the price of that stock will go down. Now, on the other hand, if you borrowed the stock from the broker and then sell it immediately at the current market price of $10 again, but then this time the market price for that stock goes up to say, let's say $13, in which case the broker can then demand, or in financial terms, squeeze you to get that stock back, then you have to go and buy that stock at the $13 with the extra $3 out of your own pocket to get that stock back and give it back to the broker. That's the risk that you take when you short a stock. In fact, when you short a stock, things can go infinitely wrong. Because when you buy a stock outright for say $10, the worst that can happen is that the company goes bankrupt and you lose that $10. But when you short a stock, hoping that the price goes down, the price can often do the opposite and go up. And there's no limit to how high it can go. So there's no limit to how much you can lose. And you have to buy it back no matter what price it gets to. And now we get to Gamestop, which is a failing video company in the US that's been losing money for decades. And actually they own EB Games right here in Australia as well. And even they've been shutting up shop slowly one by one. And because of that, institutions like hedge funds have been shorting this stock and betting that the stock price on GameStop will go down. And this is where someone on Reddit has actually noticed that GameStop was the most shorted stock. In fact, so shorted that there were more shorted stocks, more borrowed stocks than there were actually shares available to buy. So the group of degenerates on Reddit, and no, that's what they call themselves, knew that it was mostly hedge funds that do the shorting of stock. They decided to band together and pretty much wage war to drive the price up artificially. This actually worked, and with the help of Elon Musk tweeting about it and then linking back to the original subreddit, the stock price of GameStop has gone exponentially higher. I mean, look at this graph of GameStop over the last 6 months. And they didn't stop there as well. Other stocks got affected as well, like AMC, Blackberry, and Nokia as well. Pretty much all the stocks that have fallen out of favor with investors recently are gonna get pumped by this Reddit movement, I guess. And for the first time ever, retail investors are winning this war. Now, the fallout from all of this is that it cost the hedge fund Melvin Capital more than $3 billion to close out its shorting position on GameStop, and it actually needed other investors to try and bail it out. Which, in order to do that, they needed to liquidate their long positions to be able to cover that short positions. And that makes investors really nervous and cause the whole stock market to crash. And of course, the ASX then followed suit as well, as we always do. But funnily enough, there's one stock that did really well on the ASX, and that's got ticker GME. I actually think most people that bought the stock GME on the ASX did so not because they were confused by it, but because they were expecting that people would be confused and they just wanted to make a little money out of it, which they did. And actually, in fact, a lot of Redditors made millions of dollars from this 1000% surge in stock price over a couple weeks or so. Now, this whole event got the attention of the White House, Congress, SEC, and the stockbrokers Charles Schwab, Webull, Robinhood. They all started blocking users from being able to buy GameSpot stocks and only let them sell it, which really blocks the movement. So this really angered the Redditors even more because institutional investors could still trade GameSpot. So they decided to band together again and review bomb the stockbrokers app on the App Store with 1-star reviews. And then the app apps actually needed Google to go and bail them out of those bad reviews. Wallstreet Bets, which is the subreddit, also had to make itself temporarily private, but the Discord server completely banned the entire community, which again got the attention of Elon Musk, who really appears to be on our side, the little people's side, and released a tweet of more decentralized currency systems like Bitcoin. Now at this point, it's not even about GameStop anymore. The company GameStop is completely irrelevant. It's about the little guys versus the big guys. It's a complete David versus Goliath story that will just go down in the history books. And there's plenty of entertaining memes coming out of it, which is completely worth a read, so go and check it out if you haven't done that as well. My favorite is probably this one. My thoughts on this is that this will probably change how the stock market will operate from now. I think the big institutional players will now need to monitor all the social media platforms and chatter and monitor keywords about specific stocks that they're planning to invest in. And there's probably going to be more regulation to stop this kind of thing happening in the future as well. But technically speaking, no one's actually broken any laws here. There's actually nothing to say that you can't go and buy stocks together at the same time with complete strangers on the internet, because that's almost exactly what a hedge fund is. Now I'm going to be absolutely sitting on the sidelines with my popcorn and watching this fascinating story play out. And I advise that you do the same as well actually. Don't even think about trying to make any money out of this, because if history has told us anything, it's that people will make a lot of money out of this first, and then people will lose a lot of money out of this next. And you don't want to be the second group of people. It's kind of like walking towards the edge of a cliff, slowly upwards, but you're blindfolded and you don't know when the edge of the cliff is going to end. It'll be fine as long as there's land underneath you, but as soon as you take that first air step, you're gone, you're done. I think that's a pretty good analogy. Now, I'm totally expecting a future movie to be made on this, and they should probably call it The Wolf of Wall Street Bets, coming soon to a theatre near you. So finally, can this sort of thing happen here in Australia? Well, firstly, the Wall Street Bets equivalent subreddit, which is ASX Bets, has strictly forbidden this type of chatter. They've been threatening to ban anyone and deleting any threads trying to coordinate this. Secondly, ASX's most shorted stock, Webjet. But Webjet's shorting percentage isn't anywhere near the type of percentages that GameStop was at. So it won't have enough momentum to have that endless feedback loop pushing the stock price upwards. And hedge funds here in Australia are probably going to learn from what's happening in the US, so there's less and less likely chance of that happening here. And third and finally, the ASX just doesn't have that kind of interest that the US stock market does, so it will never attract this sort of attention on Reddit. So for us, we can only observe on the sidelines with wonder and bemusement at the most fascinating financial event of the decade. So that's a summary of the GameStop saga that's happening right now. I think the market will still be quite jittery from all this for a good while, so be cautious out there and hit the like button for the YouTube algorithm. This is not the end of the war between the retail investors and the hedge funds by any means, and I think this is going to last a good while until some sort of external powers comes to intervene. But regardless, I'll be definitely keeping watch and provide any new updates if there's any new events that come to light, or if there's some definitive end to all of this. So until then, thanks for watching, diamond hands everyone, and I'll see you in the next video.